renegades and people who totally aren't asking what the hell happened with the whole Galvatron thing. This is internet personality Vangelus, and the Voyager and leader versions of Transformers Megatron were two of my most anticipated releases going into this line, and the Voyager version showed up at Dufferin Mall. Hooray! I've been so stoked about this guy, I filmed somebody else's copy before I found my own. So thanks for the assist, IanHardReturn.net. Thank you. After 2 films of trucks, Movie Megatron is back to being an alien vehicle, but this Cybertronian jet mode is capital F-and slick. The shape is undeniably aeronautic, the cockpit and nose cone look like a real mean metallic avian, and the base color scheme is kinda gorgeous. I mean, the caramel bits could be more brass, but it plays well off the super dark metallic green that makes up most of this dude. And that super dark metallic green plastic catches light fantastically. This all adds up to a solid alien jet mode despite the lack of any landing gear or the weirdness of having 2 thrusters near the wing bases that are pointing forward. I guess they're for reverse boost. As for Megatron's sword, it's got a slot to tab into up top, and it also doesn't look too terrible up there. There's a flight stand compatible peg hole underneath as well, which is in a perfect place for a jet like this. It's also the same one he uses in robot mode, which is a nice touch. And boy howdy, despite being the Voyager and not the leader, this Megatron looks pretty swish when he's swooping through the skies, in the air, above the ground, and over top of his Earth-moded Decepticon cohorts. The best follow-up to a good opening mode is a good transformation, and Voyager Last Night Megatron's is more than good, it's very good. Where the vehicle mode shirked some of the easy weaknesses that can come with Cybertronian alt modes, the transformation also doesn't fall back on any easy tricks. Like, the wings don't end up just being big obvious robot wings, they friggin' wrap themselves up into his legs. Considering the low levels of distracting robot undercarriage hanging off the jet, I'm rather impressed at how well the wings shapeshift into Megatron's shins, calves, ankles, and feet. And then a bunch of potentially kibbly flappy stuff folds up and hangs down all natural-like, becoming front and side skirts of armor. The main rear hunk of jet isn't about to be left in the dust, so aside from forming the spine, it also unfurls into Megatron's arms, and what makes this bit cool is the fact that the pectoral plates are also part of those assemblies, and are the main locking pieces to hold the whole upper body together. The nose cone folds onto the backpack to reveal the head, but takes one last little hop away from boringness by using 2 joints to do so. I love this transformation. And I'm so pleased that things are going so well because this robot mode won me over with the first full body shot. Movie Megatron has never looked so clean and coherent, taking all the lovely curves of Age of Extinction Galvatron and doing away with the Transformium aspect to make those curves work with a legit physical conversion. He's like a big spooky Dark Souls robot, covered in sculpted detail that's rendered in a plastic that adores catching light in all the right ways. The proportions are strong and everything flows, even the asymmetrical shoulder pads. And Megatron's head sculpt is one of the best in the line, hitting a crisp and snarling sculpt with just the right amount of color work to avoid losing the visual impact, the way that Voyager Optimus Prime's lost it with its paint job. It's even got crimson light piping, potentially. The light has to come in straight down and slightly from the front, which sadly doesn't function all that well in practice. Looks cool when it does, though. Thanks to the transformation, you can totally fold away Megatron's fusion cannon if you want him to look all relaxed and ready for bed. His sole accessory is his big cleaver sword, which can tab onto his back or sit happily in his hand for big-time chopping. I love its shape, I love its sculpt, and its plastic color is a decently dynamic gunmetal. The Voyager version of this Megatron has a ball socket neck connection that lets him have full range to look all over the place. He can look up and down a little bit, and it also kinda slides in and out just a touch. Not enough for major stuff, but this feels pretty decent, all things considered. His shoulders can go forwards and backwards. Separate joint lets them go outwards. There's like a opening thing there on the shoulder pauldron on both sides, because they are somewhat asymmetrical looking. And then he's got a dedicated bicep swivel. He's got a single hinge elbow that can curl up pretty tightly, well past 90 degrees. Oh no, a hole! There's no wrist joint, unfortunately, and there is, unfortunately, no waist joint. And this is mostly because there's, this swing-up thing that goes from his gusset up to his back. I feel like, with a, slightly higher budget, if the crotch was something that could have separated, maybe below this part, there could have been a swivel. A waist joint is kind of the one thing on this guy that would have made him, like, over-the-top great. As it is, he's just still pretty darn cool. What with these legs that can kick forwards and backwards. If you spread his whole skirt out, Megatron can kind of Johnny Cage punch you. His thighs can swivel, his knees have a nice bend. It's not like a hugely deep bend, but the placement of that knee joint is properly dynamic. And then his ankles can tilt from the transformation, and they can tilt a hell of a lot. Also, this part of the foot can go forwards and backwards from the transformation. This has been helpful a lot more than I expected it was going to be. If there was one more thing this could do that would be great, it can go back like that. If it could also go forward like that, that would have been huge. This guy is like 2 or 3 joints away from being well the hell posable outside of the expectations of his price point and toy line. As it is, he still can look really cool. And I'm super happy that this design got stuff like 4 skirt flaps so that it could pose so decently. As of Wave 2, this Voyager version of Megatron has secured a top slot ranking in the Last Night line as far as I'm concerned. A lovely design has been translated into a great Transformers toy, realized in fantastic plastic colors that are able to do a lot of work with or without paint added on top. I admit, I am fully into Transformers Megatron, right down to the super weird way he rather resembles the current movie Optimus in his armor design. This figure matches up incredibly well with Wave 1's Voyager Prime, and also looks plenty good when put in command of the line's deluxe Decepticon offerings. But the bottom line I'm trying to establish here is, on a visual design level, I am into this robot. If you're not, I'm not sure how much all of this is synchronizing with you. But this is the only Premier Edition release I've handled so far that makes me say, if 30 American dollars is chump change for your lifestyle, I don't think it'd be a mistake to pick this guy up. Absolutely wait for a sale if you can. I mean, I did, and that makes him even better. But hey, if this guy managed to squeeze in a waist joint and some wrist swivels, I would not have hesitated to grab him at his regular retail price. Anyway, this has been Internet Personality Vangelus, and do you even feel like you've got to ask me if I'm hyped for the Leader Class Last Night Megatron? Is that somehow in question? I just want to find him in Canada, specifically a Canadian Toys R Us, for those delicious, exquisite sales.